Hey friends, welcome back to the Bald Booktuber. My name is Scott, and today we are doing my July wrap-up. So July was fantastic. I enjoyed every single thing that I read. It was great in terms of quality, maybe not as much in terms of quantity, but ultimately, when I'm reading the stuff that I love, I am a happy dude. So let's get to it. We will do as we always do. We'll start with my least favorite and go up to my most favorite, which will be my book of the month. As I said, everything was fantastic. Everything was at least 4 Stanley nods, which is great. So no stinkers in there, which is always good, and nothing that I felt was just mediocre or average, which is also quite good. So let's get it started here. I read the novella set in the Dresden Files world that released in July. It's called The Law. It's set probably a month or two after the events of Battleground, which is book 17, I think, 15 maybe, of Dresden Files. I'm not sure what book we're on. It was the most recent Dresden Files book, whatever number that is. The Law was good. I gave it 4 Stanley nods. It was good to check in with some of our favorite side characters. Good to see Harry on page again, albeit briefly. Is 99 pages, so it's not a big work. It isn't anything earth-shattering in terms of the Dresden world or the timeline that we've been working off of, but it is fun to check in with Harry. We see some Bob on the page, which is always good. We see some Marcone. Beyond that, I won't really talk about who is in it or what it's about because I don't want to spoil anything, but always good to see those characters, particularly interacting with one another, so it was a good time. I did it on audio. Butcher himself narrated it, which I think he did for fun, and I hope he doesn't do much of going forward. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great for sure. He needs to get Marsters back in the booth. We all know how I feel about James Marsters. If you don't, I will link my top 10 favorite narrator video for you to check that out. Moving on, I read The Gray Man, which is book 1 in the Gray Man series. This is Mark Greaney. I gave this 4 Stanley nods. I read this leading up to the adaptation movie on Netflix. I really enjoyed the book, so it had some fantastic action set pieces. I thought the writing was quite good. Especially for the thriller genre. Greaney is definitely someone I'm going to check out more of. Probably going to read all of The Gray Man, which I think is up to 8 books. So I really like that. I like the narration a lot by Jay Snyder. That was all very good. The movie, didn't love the movie. That was kind of lower echelon and quite less than I expected. It has Ryan Gosling playing the lead. It has Chris Evans playing the primary antagonist. I didn't think that the acting was great. There were massive deviations from the book that I don't need it to be beat for beat, but it seemed to have lost kind of the soul and the heart of what the book is about, in my opinion, which I don't like to see in an adaptation. Billy Bob Thornton as Donald Fitzroy, can't remember his name, was very, very good, but not in enough scenes to kind of carry everything. Not an important character, but not a big enough character to kind of offset everything else that was going on. I particularly didn't like Chris Evans's portrayal of the bad guy whose name I can't remember now. Just didn't follow the spirit or the heart of the book. So not a recommend on the movie, definitely a recommend on the book if you enjoy action. And you don't mind a lot of violence, because there's a lot of violence. So there's that. All right, we're moving on. Completed my path along the beam, so we were finally able to complete The Dark Tower. This is book 7, aptly titled The Dark Tower. So this journey began on the 19th of January, about 10 days before my birthday. If you wanted to mark that on the calendar, you're welcome to do that, 29th of January. But I decided this was going to be the year to do the Dark Tower. I'm so happy that I took the journey. The fourth book, Wizarding Glass, still my favorite book of the year so far. Drawing of the Three, which is the second book, I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite books ever. The Wastelands, not too far behind. I love that. And then I've really enjoyed this, kind of next in line after that. I really enjoyed Wolves of the Kala. I like The Gunslinger quite a bit. That's book one. Song of Susanna I read last month. I didn't love that as much. Book 6, I still enjoyed it. But overall, a really strong series. When I redo my favorite fantasy series of all time, this will have a place on it. So I'm excited about that. With this book specifically, the first one or two parts really drug for me. And I don't know if that was a me problem or if that was a book problem or some combination of the two. But once we hit parts 3 through 5, it just kind of soared for me. And kind of went back to the roots of everything I enjoy about the Dark Tower, with the very weird world building, the very strange reveals that somebody much smarter than me would have to predict these things, because I don't think they're predictable for myself. The way he ended it, I thought was appropriate. I really enjoyed the ending. I know King gets a lot of harsh treatment for his endings, but I like the ending quite a bit. Yeah, overall, just really enjoyed it. I would definitely encourage folks to try out the Dark Tower if you have had reservations and you're not sure whether it's something for you. Give it a couple books, 3 books, see if it's what you want or not, and kind of go from there. 4 Stanley Nods, I enjoyed it. And of course, as always, George Goodall did the narration. Not as always, but from books 5 through 7, he does the narration, which is good. Next up, I read World of Ice and Fire. That is, it's this bad boy here. This was a reread, and I enjoyed it about the same amount as I did the first time. I gave it 4 Stanley Nods. It's one of the, probably the least rated thing in the George Martin Song of Ice and Fire world. I like it. It just is very abbreviated. So there are some really cool events and stuff that it talks about, but it talks about them in really tiny bite-sized chunks so that it can cover a wider timeline, so that it can say stuff about a lot of different houses and time frames and this kind of stuff. So it's an encyclopedia. It's good. I enjoyed it. It was good revisiting it. So 4 Stanley Nods. And then, of course, I reread Fire and Blood. And this is leading up to the coverage that I will be doing on Mike's channel for House of the Dragon. I've done some dedicated videos, excuse me, both on this channel and on other channels about both Fire and Blood and House of the Dragon. I'll have those linked if you want to check those out. But I'm very, very excited about this adaptation on HBO. I did an entire video just about why I'm excited and what I'm excited about with regard to it, so I'll have that linked as well. Fire and Blood is fantastic. I really love it. I know not everybody gets along with it because it's a history book and they think it's dry or whatever, but I think it's amazing. I love the idea of multiple people telling multiple different accounts, some of them contradictory with one another, and I think it more closely mirrors what happens in real history among historians and that kind of stuff, which, is just George being George. So I love it. 5 Stanley Nods. Would have been my book of the month if not for the fact that it was a reread rather than a first-time read. I immersively read it with the legendary Simon Vance. Again, if you have seen my top 10 narrators video, you know where he stands. Very, very high. I love Simon Vance. So very cool. And then we have my book of the month, and this was Mr. Slaughter. This is book 3 in the Matthew Corbett series by Robert McCammon. So second straight month that a Corbett novel has been book of the month. This series is fantastic. So I see more and more people kind of picking it up. My friend Brent just recently read Speaks the Nightbird and loved it. He gave it 5 stars. I've seen a few other people on the Discord that are picking it up and enjoying it. I had never heard of this series until this year, and now 3 books down have all been perfect books, and I can't wait to read the remaining 5. So he put one out just this year that's brand new, so I'm super stoked. So that was really my reading. Of course, Eduardo Ballerini does the narration, and he's fantastic. One of my favorite new to me narrators. He's amazing. So in terms of stat-wise, pretty thin. So that's 2,759 pages read, between physical reading, immersive, and audio. It's 460 pages per book that I read. It's about 90 pages per day, so less than I like to do. I'd like to be over 100 pages a day, if and when possible. Hopefully August will be a little better with that. But like I said, I did really enjoy everything that I read, which is always a good thing. And I hope all of you had a fantastic July as well with your reading. I'd love to hear what you read, what your book of the month was. And until next time, as we always know, publication order always, my friends.